Hi, everybody. Welcome back to the MetaStellar YouTube channel. We have some free books for you today. A lot of free books and all science fiction and fantasy, some creepy ones, right in time for Halloween. And yeah, welcome to the MetaStellar YouTube channel. I'm the editor here at MetaStellar. Today we have another one of our editors with us today. We have Emma.
Hi.
And we have one of our writers at MetaStellar, Regina Clark. Regina. Okay, so the way we do it is we read the first few chapters of each of the books on Amazon's top 5 free science fiction and fantasy bestseller list. Yes, Amazon has a bestseller list just of free books, specifically free sci-fi and fantasy books. The list can be hard to find, but we link it down below. And we do this every Friday. So if you don't want to miss any of these videos, you can subscribe to our channel. It's free and it really helps the channel. We also have a free newsletter you can subscribe to and get it in your inbox every Friday afternoon at 5 p.m. Eastern Time. So everybody, today is Friday, September 26th, and the books are not going to stay free for long, so grab them while they are free. And we're going to start with book number 5 and count down to book number 1. All right, I forgot which number is number 1. All right, so here's book number 5. Let me make that a little bit bigger for you guys. Here we go. This is The Mist in the Garden by Terri Selting David. It's the first of 2 books in the Zodiac Files, which is a YA supernatural mystery series. The other book is $5 and it's not out yet. It's scheduled to be released next week and is available for pre-order. And Regina read this book for us. And Regina read the beginning of this book for us. So Regina, tell us about the book. Tell us what you think.
Oh, glad to. Thanks, Maria. It's a good choice for a spooky Halloween entry, and the cover conveys the mood of it really well. Teenager Zodiac, aka Zoe Jones, is desperate. Zoe Jones is desperate to get out from under the consequences of living with a professional psychic for a mother, who also happens to be a clever con artist. They are always having to keep evading the police. Zodiac is forced to move from one town to another, which is how she and her mother end up in Starvale. It's there she hooks up with Jacob Starr, who is Starvale's golden boy with a perfect image to uphold. But the sleepy little town has other things in mind for both of them, including a haunted house, secrets buried beneath secrets, and a cat who might have wizard powers. The first chapter sets the spooky stage, and it does it really well, as the mist rises and moves in tendrils throughout the garden of the house where Jacob lives. An abandoned house next to the garden holds a fretful spirit, and its walls and stairs are sinking into the ground, but not without protest, for something else seems to live there. And it is through its halls and rooms that the mist moves, searching, carrying a message. In the second chapter, Zoe is not yet in Starvale, but instead in a different town, watching her mother, Madame Forsyth, scam a couple at a seance. But the husband guesses her game and wrecks the seance table and calls the police. His wife, Lucille, is in tears and wants the seance to continue because she wants to reach her dear departed. She's a believer. It all erupts into chaos, and the situation has become dangerous, likely to end in Zoe and her mother being arrested and charged for past scams as well. Zoe wants to stay in the town and keep going to her new school, but it's impossible. We have to make a strategic exit, Madam says. As they drive out of town, cop cars and an ambulance and fire truck scream by, going in the other direction. I stopped at the end of chapter 2, though I did look ahead just a bit. It does draw you in a bit. And I'm not familiar with reading a lot of YA novels, but I think this one has a flavor to it. In chapter 3, we're back with Jacob in Starvale, and Zoe hasn't shown up yet. While his sister Olivia watches a slasher movie, Jacob steps outside his house and sees the garden, and then studies the house next door. The description he gives is evocative. The strange mist still rises from the ground between the houses. along with a soft wail that's carried by the wind. Maybe it's some nocturnal creature, but there's no rustling of paws, no growling, just a keening whistle. Maybe it's just the wind itself, but it rises and falls with an almost human cadence. This novel is really filled with well-written moody scenes like that and scary settings. But so far, anyway, it isn't gory, just suspenseful. I like the author's style. I think Terri Selton David does a good job of creating the genre atmosphere, and both Zoe and Jacob are likable characters. The book has been compared, and it's won an award. It has been compared to the show Stranger Things. I don't think so. But perhaps in future chapters, more of that might appear. It comes across, however, as a worthy YA book to read. Thanks.
It's perfect timing because Halloween's coming up.
Yes, it is.
All right, we've got book number 4 on today's list, which is something completely different, which is how these Free Fridays go. We just like whipsaw back and forth from one genre to another. This is The One Who Knew by Colton Lively, a standalone book, a small town, post-apocalypse, EMP survival. And this author, super popular, more than 30 other books in the genre, plenty of reading if you like the style. Nearly all those books are in Kindle Unlimited. Kindle Unlimited, by the way, is where you pay $12 a month and you read all the books you want, as long as you don't mind being part of the whole Amazon hegemony thing. And Terrence read this for us, but Terrence isn't here with us today. So, Emma, can you tell us what Terrence had to say about this book?
Yeah, so a little bit of background. This is an EMP book, and we get a lot of these on our Free Fridays. So EMP is an electromagnetic pulse, that's what it stands for. It's usually caused by like a solar flare, lightning, or even like a nuclear bomb. And what it does is it destroys unshielded electronics. And in disaster books like these, typically civilization just comes crashing to a halt. Terrence says that all of these books are typically similar, and it's just like the cast of characters and the setting changes. And he says, yes, it is another EMP thriller in the same form. And we know how these go. It's like instant cripples electronics across the planet, chaos ensues. And he says that the book does seem to follow this exact formula. And this story, these characters include Doug. He is a welder working on an oil rig, and he is accompanied by his best friend Edgar. And Terri says that their relationship comes off as very natural and like free-flowing camaraderie, and it's from their time at the Navy together. Doug also has a significant other, Carmen, whose father Albert lives on a homestead with his wife Mabel. And there's a lot of names going on here, but they lost their son, and it's Doug's brother or Carmen's brother, and they're trying their best to move forward with life. So it's like there's a whole cast of characters here. EMP hasn't happened yet, but he says that the most interesting character so far is Tim, because he's a hermit with multiple personality disorder and he lives deep in the woods. He doesn't trust anybody. So it seems like this is like a very interesting setting or multiple settings for an EMP. Not sure what else happens in terms of plot, because Terrence doesn't really give us that, but he says that he tends to gravitate towards characters who are a bit eccentric and deviate from social norms. So he really likes where this is going, and it's likely going to be related to the EMP event. So far he thinks that things seem interesting enough, but he's probably not going to continue reading with this. I know Alex typically likes reviewing these books, but this is the one that Terrence read. So
I actually texted Alex to see if he can do it, and he was busy today because he normally does like dozens of these for us.
Yeah.
Super popular genre. All right, let's go on to book number 3 on today's list, Song of Siren and Blood. And at first I was a little confused by this because the cover, it looks like an epic fantasy cover, but it's not an epic fantasy. So The Song of Siren and Blood by Thomas K. Carpenter is the first of 5 books in the Stone Singers urban fantasy series. The other books are $7 to $8 each, and they're not in Kindle Unlimited. And this series is part of the 100 universe, which has like 5 other series in it, more than 25 other books. And this author has been on our Free Friday list before. Emma read this for us. And Emma, you're going to tell people it's set in the modern day, right? It should not have that cover.
Yeah, I was surprised in this book just as much as you are, because from the title, it sounds like it's YA. Because it's certainly, the title models itself after all the the titles that are similar, and I know we've even had a couple like those on the Free Friday. But I was pleasantly surprised to learn that the main character is a little bit different, though the story does kind of deviate from what I was really expecting. The book begins with Minerva, and she has just performed a sold out show with her band to huge success. However, she feels a lightheaded after performing for several hours, because now that she is in her 70s, it's getting harder to keep up. So, yes, this main character is actually old, which is something I don't see a whole lot, especially in like genre fiction. So, I was really excited about this. We get some background about how Minerva used to be a rising star. People were even speculating that she had supernatural powers because her singing was so good. But now, in her 70s, she's divorced, she's behind on her rent, her career's been on the down low, and her shows are doing well. Like, she's still selling out and everything, and people are constantly coming up to her saying how she's amazing, and her voice is great, but she's still not able to pay for the roof over her head. So Minerva gets to her dressing room. The guy hosting the venue gives her only a fraction of what she expected, and she's protesting. He said the guy explains that it's all part of the contract her agent signed, so there's nothing he can do. And she's desperate because she really needs to pay her band, along with paying for her rent and things like that. So she resorts to robbing the cash register at the bar she and her bandmates visit after the show. So Minerva returns to her apartment. She gets a call from her agent. Her agent informs her that the bar recorded her stealing, so she needs to return the money or they'll press charges. And her agent also has a gig for her, but it's private singing lessons for like some rich people or something like that. Minerva isn't interested in that kind of thing, so she rejects that job. The next day, she promises her landlord that she'll have the rent money, and she goes to a pawn shop to pawn her Best New Artist award from way back when. She also tries to call her ex-husband, but he's built a life for himself, doesn't want anything to do with her. So finally, Minerva just is at the end of her rope. She decides to call the number that her agent gave her and take that private job. So this is where I stopped reading because I was several chapters in at this point. And I gotta say, I was surprised with this book in more ways than one. I really love the idea of an older protagonist, but I did go in expecting that there would be a lot of more magic and supernatural events and like fantasy stuff going on, especially from the cover and the title. And so far, the book only hints at this. So I don't think I'm going to continue reading because I don't really want to have to like go halfway through the book before finding anything that's supernatural. But if this does sound interesting to you, and if you like fantasy that's like very low key fantasy, I recommend you check this book out.
I was on mute because I had a dog barking behind me. I was saying, I like the fact that she's in her 70s and she's a thief. That's pretty kick-ass. She tries to rob a bar. That's like excellent.
When she got to the part where she was robbing the cash register after the guy leaves, I was like, one, there's like 20 people standing right there. And two, you don't think that a bar of all places is gonna have security cameras pointing at the cash register?
Yeah, you'd think by the time you hit 70, you'd have had some common sense.
Like the guy literally just turned around and then left the cash register, and he was like, I don't know, 10 feet away.
All right, let's go on to book number 2 on today's list, which is The Cartographer. Let me make that a little bit bigger for you guys so you guys can see it. Here we go, The Cartographer by Craig Gaydas. And this is the first of 3 books in the Cartographer science fiction adventure series. The other books are $3 each, and they're not in Kindle Unlimited. And Melody read this for us, Melody Friedenthal, one of our founding members and one of our editors. And she says that, and she couldn't make it here today. And she says that this is a young adult novel told in the first person. And our teenage protagonist is Nathan. And the book opens in a cave in Carlsbad, New Mexico. And Nathan's exploring the cave with his best friend. He's hoping to find some treasure, but instead he finds another explorer. And that explorer is an 8-foot tall blue alien with tentacles. And so Sam is using a rope to belay Nathan, and the alien cuts that rope, injects Nathan with some kind of substance. Nathan loses consciousness, and when he wakes up, he's like restrained by these tentacles. Then the alien puts on some headphones and gives Nathan a set of them too. And now Nathan can hear the alien's words translated into English. And the alien tells him that he's an engineer aboard a spaceship. The spaceship is part of the Explorer League. And the alien also mentions that he's allergic to humans. And so he sprays Nathan with some substance to offset the allergen. And he offers Nathan a Coke. Okay. And then we get a second alien showing up, a different species than the first one. And this new alien wants to take Nathan back to Earth, but the first alien disagrees because the first alien thinks that Nathan wouldn't be able to keep their presence a secret. And Nathan likes the idea of traveling the universe like Captain. Then the third alien shows up from yet another species and offers to take Nathan on a tour of the ship. And the alien says something mysterious. He says, "You will learn that humans are not even from Earth," which is kind of cool. And then Nathan learns that there's a monstrous evil force that threatens the whole universe of sapient beings, including humans. So Melody says the story is interesting. It hits a little bit heavy on the tropes. She has a few qualms with the copy editing because she's a copy editor. And she said she had to suspend disbelief, a little bit to get into the immersion. But then again, you got blue aliens with tentacles. What do you expect? And the story, she says, is somewhere between like a space opera and like over the top superhero kind of writing. And she says if you like that kind of thing and the editing parts don't bother you, you might enjoy this book. And I think I might enjoy that book. Those are all things that I find enjoyable. Before we go on to book number 1 in today's list, which is a box set of 12 books. Before we get to that, I want to thank our Patreon subscribers, including our newest supporter, Peter Bishop. We have something like 100 volunteers working on MetaStellar right now. Editors, judges, proofreaders, a million people doing stuff for MetaStellar. And all of this work for free. The website hosting is donated. All the money we raise from Patreon goes to pay human writers for original fiction. Which reminds me, our next submission cycle for original fiction is coming up on October 1st. It goes from October 1st to October 31st. So if you have a short story, 1,200 words or less, mark your calendar and submit it. We pay 8 cents a word. All stories are published on our website. Plus, they go into our anthology, which we just published our 4th anthology. I don't have a print copy of it yet. I'm still waiting for it. But here's the first 3. We do have those. And we've also serialized Gods and Monsters by E.E. King. And it's on the Nebula Awards reading list for next year. Guys, that is so awesome. We are so stoked. It's amazing. We couldn't be happier. And that book is available in electronic form, in print form. It's available for free on our website. You can read it. And the author herself, E.E. King, has read the entire book on this YouTube channel, and all those videos are up there. Links in the description box below. And one last note, I want to mention that Emma Foster is a book editor and coach, and she's working on her PhD in was it literature, creative writing, Emma?
Yep, it's creative writing.
Creative writing. So yeah, she just moved to the UK to get her PhD in it. So the brain. And we have here some covers of books by Regina Clarke, because she writes science fiction, fantasy, and mysteries. And links to her books are in the description box below. And then here's my books. And during the day, I'm a technology journalist, but at night, well, actually early in the morning before my day job starts, I write humorous science fiction. And those books have been on the humorous science fiction bestseller list on Amazon for the past few years. And I've got a whole bunch of other books in the series written. I just haven't edited them and posted them, and which is where Emma comes in and she's helping me with that. Thanks, Emma. All right. Oh, we also have merch. So you can support us by buying our merch. All right, let's get on to book number 1 on today's list. And it is this book here, The Survivors by Nathan Hystad. And it's a box set of the first 12 books in the 26 book The Survivors, Alien Invasion, Space Opera kind of series. The other books are $5 to $6 each, but they're all in Kindle Unlimited. The last book isn't out yet, scheduled to be released this December, and you can pre-order it. The author's been on our free fire list before. I love books that are part of a really long series because A, it shows that people love the series enough to motivate the author to write a lot of books in that series. And B, because I'm really bad at names. And this way I can learn the set of characters and like have the same people show up in book after book. So I really appreciate that. I love series. Anyway, Alex read this for us. And like I said, he couldn't make it here today. So I'm going to read that for you. So he says that the story starts out in the present day United States. That's the first book in the series, The Event. And it starts right out by telling you that the ships came at dawn. And he says that kind of grabbed his attention. So we meet Dean, and Dean thinks that this announcement is a War of the Worlds style hoax when he first hears it on the radio. But then he turns on the TV, and it's actually true. There are huge, big, black, box-shaped alien ships floating above all of the major world cities, and it's all over the news. And in fact, he looks outside from his own house, and there are 6 smaller alien ships that he can see from where he is. And in the distance, you can see a big black box hovering over New York City, even though he lives 100 miles away from New York. So this ship is that big. So over the course of the next few chapters, Dean heads out into the streets where things are starting to get chaotic. And the most important thing he wants to do is get to the storage unit where he has his dead wife's pendant. And he's able to get there. He's able to get this pendant. And we learn through flashbacks that his wife died of something like tuberculosis. And she warned him on her deathbed that the aliens were coming and that he must be wearing the pendant when they arrive. And so Alex says this is a great start to a series. He wants to keep reading. He wants to find out who these aliens are, why they're here, what their plan for humanity is. These are all things that he wants to know about. And I kind of sympathize with that. I'm currently in the middle of a series of books that I learned about here on Free Friday, which has like more than a dozen books in it. But once I'm done with that, I've already downloaded this one. All right, so that's it for today's list. Again, all the links are in the description box below. Check out Regina's book. If you need some editing or book coaching, check out Emma's site. And I think, Emma, you've got a newsletter too that they can subscribe to.
Yep.
Yeah, so yeah, we're in business. All right, everybody, we love you guys. We would not be here without you. Thank you so much for your support. Thank you, those who joined the YouTube channel. This is separate from a subscription. It costs money. And again, the money goes to pay for original science fiction and fantasy by new and emerging authors, by human authors, real humans, not AI. So if you support that mission, please, we would really appreciate your help. All right, everybody. Thanks, Emma. Thanks, Regina. We'll see you guys next week. Bye-bye.
Bye.